The 1997 FIA World Rally Championship, Monte Carlo. Traditionally been dominated by the Finns, and 1996 was no exception. The World Championship, decided on the Rally Australia, was won for the first time by Tommi Mäkinen.
Well done.
Ei ne ainakaan ohitus, se on varmaan.
Mäkinen then the latest in a long line of Finns to excel at the sport. For 1997, Mitsubishi had a brand new Group A car, the Lancer Evolution 4, for Mäkinen and co-driver Seppo Harjanne.
Three main things are the biggest difference. Rear suspension and gearbox and engine is a bit different.
Tommi had two teammates during the year. Richard Burns drove another Lancer Evo 4 on selected events, although for marketing reasons it was badged as a Charisma GT. On the other rallies, Uwe Nittel drove the second car, an older Evolution 3 Lancer, entered by the German Rally Art team. Runner-up in 1996 was Colin McRae, another new car for the 1997 season, but his was one of the new breed, a Subaru Impreza built to the new World Rally Car regulations.
Yeah, it's good to have a change out. The old Group A car was getting a bit long in the tooth, and it looks very spectacular as well, sounds different. Obviously the performance is a bit better, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Not only a new car for McRae, but a new colleague as well.
He's a very easygoing sort of person, and the practice has gone well, our testing has gone well, and I really am looking forward to it.
Sweden's Kenneth Eriksson, seen here with team boss David Richards, would drive the second car on gravel events during the year. With the all-tarmac rallies being contested by Italy's Piero Liati, the team's goal was clear, both world titles. The other manufacturer tackling both series was Ford, who had an almost all-new lineup. A new boss, Malcolm Wilson, a new team, M Sport, and a new car, the Escort World Rally Car. The team leader, however, was still Carlos Sainz.
What would be a good season for you?
Win. As simple as that.
Sainz's partner was the 1996 European champion, Armin Schwarz. Besides the new cars, 1997 had a new feel too. After 3 years of event rotation, all 14 rounds would count. So arriving in the south of France for round one, everyone knew it would be a long season. The Monte Carlo Rally is perhaps the most famous event in the series. Heavy rain greeted the championship contenders as the first special stage of the year got underway around the streets of Monaco. But it's the stages in the mountains north of the Principality which make up the bulk of the rally. Sainz and his co-driver Luis Moya had a superb start, taking the lead after the first mountain stage. Mäkinen wasn't so happy. The icy roads meant that he and Seppo Harjanne were slipping and sliding all over the place.
Vasen oikein eri aukee.
Tyre choice, it seemed, had been a factor in Sainz's lead.
Well, I went with one tire, which is rain tire, no studs. Tommi went with studs, and at the end of the two stages is 2 seconds different. So obviously it was very, very close, one decision to the other.
His teammate obviously wasn't on the same tyres. Schwarz had the dubious honour of being the first driver to dink a World Rally Car when that happened on stage 2.
Oh, it was not bad. We just came out of the trucks in the slush snow and we hit the wall. And it was quite gnarly, so we have to go backward and forward all the time just to get the car in the right direction, and we lost quite some time.
The Monte Carlo rally isn't one of Colin McRae's favourites, and he wasn't enjoying the conditions. In the other Subaru, Piero Liatti was a lot happier, and he had a far better day than his team leader. Freddie Loix from Belgium was quickest around the stage in Monaco itself, but the Toyota drivers soon found that the mountain roads were a different matter. Loix and Sven Smits dropped to 8th as a result of that spin. Uwe Nittel began cautiously, getting used to his new Group A car after finishing second in the Group N Championship in '96. Didier Auriol is a Monte Carlo veteran, but his privately entered Escort ended the day in 7th place. Schwartz in the works car was 6th, cursing the accident on stage 2. 5th placed McRae's miserable day, though, was continuing. Visibility, it seemed, was one of his concerns.
6 right minus, tightens. 100, can you put the heater on? 4 right and 4 right.
The car's very, very difficult to drive. The transmission's not working properly. And we've got a problem with the windscreen steaming up all the time, so it's not much fun.
As day turned to night, Loix was 4th. Liatti was 3rd, but the leading pair were just 3 seconds apart. Mäkinen was the driver in 2nd place. But the rally leader was Carlos Sainz.
Para izquierda rápida menos, derecha izquierda buena más en quintas de tierra, para uno, buena más en quintas de tierra, izquierda, para uno, derecha que corta, para izquierda calientes de tierra.
Day 2 and damp tarmac had replaced the snow. Sainz found himself under attack and lost the lead on the day's first stage. It was Mäkinen who'd set the fastest time on the stage, and he led the rally for the first time. Liatti wasn't being left behind, however, and he set the fastest time on the day's 3rd stage. For McRae, though, that second morning saw the end of his rally on an icy corner.
The problem is when you're in the racing tyres, if you go slightly offline at all, you just get pulled in with the snow, and that's what happened. Unfortunately, there was a tree just on the edge of the road and it broke the rear suspension.
McRae's wasn't the only accident. Freddie Loix damaged his Toyota Celica when he left the road, but at least he managed to keep going.
What's happened? Okay, I went off of the road on the stage before and I damaged a little bit the car. I lose 22 minutes.
Didier Auriol wasn't so lucky. Transmission failure meant that the Frenchman joined McRae on the retirements list, although we'd see a lot more of Auriol later in the year. Schwartz also suffered from transmission problems. He and Denis Giraudet lost 3rd gear, but kept going.
Right 4 short, no cut, 100 caution, right 3 to 4 short into left 3. Right 3 to 4 short into left 3.
They were in 4th place at the end of leg 2. Problems for Sainz, meanwhile, had dropped him to 3rd.
La corta, para izquierda buena posible tercera, sucias de tierra, frenando, para derecha buena menos sucias de tierra poco, para izquierda buena, para derecha buena más ojo, para izquierda rápido ojo ras.
Yeah, we have problem with the engine. It was misfiring practically all the way through, and well, it was not running well.
Piero Liatti and Fabrizio Pons had had a superb day. They were now 2nd.
Per destra 3 meno lunga, in sinistra 3 meno lunga, 30, destra 3 più, per destra.
As they tackled the final few stages of the day, their thoughts were already turning to the first stage of the 3rd leg, the longest of the rally.
The first special stage is terrible. 37 kilometers is very difficult, but okay, full attack.
The final stage of leg 2, and the rally leader was now Tommi Mäkinen.
last one was going very well. I was pushing as hard as possible, and it was very, very good.
And so to the final day. Heavy rain greeted the crews as they arrived at that long first stage, whose name is enough to send shivers down the spine. Sisteron. The stage would prove decisive. Mäkinen chose the wrong tyres and dropped from first to third in just that one stage. Liati flew through the stage and grabbed the lead for the first time. Sainz was also faster than Mäkinen and moved up into second place. Behind the top three, Denmark's Henrik Lundgaard finished in sixth place. Uwe Nittel and his co-driver Tina Turner were fifth, delighted with their performance in an unfamiliar car. Schwartz finished fourth. But what of the top three?
Oikea plus sumppuun ja vasen täys. Oi.
That incident effectively ended Mäkinen's challenge for victory. Sainz was then left chasing Liati over the rally's final few stages.
Derecha buena se tira poco y ras. Sassart, para izquierda buena más ojo corta a fondo, se ve por dentro fin, para derecha rápido ojo corta a fondo.
But Liati could almost taste victory, and he wouldn't be caught. Only the final stage remained, another blast around the streets of Monaco, and Sainz and Mäkinen were beaten. Liati took his first win on a World Championship event, an immensely popular victory.
This moment for me is very, very, very fantastic.
Piero Liati and Fabrizio Pons, the first winners of 1997. Their winning margin 55 seconds, with Sainz, Mäkinen, Schwartz, Nittel and Lundgaard rounding off the top 5 places. Points are now awarded Formula One style from first to sixth places, so this was how the drivers' table looked after round one. Despite only one Subaru making it to the finish, they took a 1-point lead in the Manufacturers' Championship. And so to the very north of Europe for round two, the International Swedish Rally. Mild weather in the weeks before the rally meant there was very little snow. It was, though, cold enough to run the opening spectator stage around the frozen canals in the centre of Karlstad, the host city. It was pretty cold in the forests too. Sweden's Thomas Rodström led the rally after stage 2. Sainz was joint fastest on the next stage, so took the lead for the first time. Mäkinen won the rally last year, so started as favourite. He was quickly up to second place. Colin McRae and Nicky Grist, meanwhile, were in fourth place at the end of the morning. Kenneth Eriksson's won the event twice, and he led after stage 4, taking the lead from Sainz. Armin Schwartz and Denis Giraudet began badly, thumping a rock on stage 2. But tyres were the main worry at Ford.
Well, it's always discussion about tyres. You have to decide which type of tyre, which type of studs. Usually, before it's special stage, it's always the same discussion.
Halfway through the day, Thomas Rodström gave us one of the strangest pace note instructions of the year.
Open and tightens with house.
House? What house? Ah, that house. On the longest stage of the day, 44 kilometres, Mäkinen could only manage 6th fastest. Arriving at the service area, Mäkinen wasn't happy.
I suppose we didn't have quite correct tyre. We lost plenty of spikes and we lost also more than half a minute for Subarus.
Sainz didn't suffer as much as Mäkinen through that long stage, but even he wasn't the fastest.
I went with a little bit too long start and we lost some time, so we tried a different tire and it was not so good.
The honour of setting that fastest time on the stage went to Colin McRae.
Felt very good, but the last maybe 10 kilometres we lost all the studs, so maybe Tommy lost the studs before we did.
But his tyres were even worse than yours.
Yeah, I'm sure it must have been to be that big a difference.
But it quickly became obvious who was the crowd's favourite, not McRae, but his teammate. At the end of leg one, Kenneth led the rally from McRae by 7 seconds.
He was aiming to be fighting for the lead, and of course it's not much, it's 7 seconds to Colin, but I'm very happy with my result today.
Early morning on day 2 and a rude awakening for Mitsubishi.
The selection mechanism for the gearbox had some small fault in it and we couldn't select any gears.
At the moment it's all right and we can continue, but unfortunately 1 minute 20 seconds is a very long time.
The rally leader, Kenneth Eriksson, meanwhile, was coming under pressure from his teammate.
40, höger 3 minus.
Colin McRae began the day in second place, but set the fastest time on stage 12 and took the lead for the first time.
With this much rain and the high temperature, I don't know how long the ice will last, but it's certainly very soft now, which is making tyre choice difficult again.
But the Subarus weren't having it all their own way. Sainz set or shared fastest time on 3 of the first 4 stages.
Para derecha buena en tercera. Para izquierda buena en tercera, era poco.
His teammate Armin Schwartz, though, wasn't going so well. Again. Thomas Rodstrom was caught and passed by Mäkinen during the morning, and he dropped to 5th as a result. Mäkinen was on a charge. He and Seppo Harjana moving up to 4th place.
Oikein miinus kiristyy. Kova se plus ja koho oikein.
But with all those penalties, surely they'd never be able to catch the leaders. Ahead of the Mitsubishi was Eriksson's Subaru. He dropped to 3rd, his challenge fading.
Carlos has been driving very well today, Colin as well, so I will try. 26 seconds is not impossible.
McRae had a so-so day. He led the rally until 2 stages from the end of the second leg. Sainz, though, took the lead on stage 17, then extended it on the last stage of the day. 12 seconds separated the Ford and the Subaru at the end of day 2.
Colin, myself, Tommy or Kenneth. I think everything can happen tomorrow.
Day 3's 6 stages would decide the rally.
Ahí va. Calenta. La Santi izquierda rápidamente unos pocos tareas de tierra. Un grado más.
Uwe Nittel wouldn't repeat his Monte Carlo result. His rally ended in a tree.
Plus lang. In 3 minus.
Schwartz finished a disappointing 6th. Thomas Rodstrom, competing on his home event, finished 5th. McRae taken the lead again, but it wouldn't last.
5 right plus light. Into 6 left.
Frustrated?
Yeah, a little, yeah. It's to go from 1st to 4th, bad news.
Tommy Mäkinen was also trying a little too hard.
Oikein täys.
For sure we were trying as at least 150%, and it was a bit too much on the one place.
Almost unnoticed amidst all the excitement, halfway through the final day, Kenneth Eriksson had been fastest on 3 stages and led. Tyre choice was still concerning Carlos Sainz, and he looked happy enough with 2nd place.
I'm trying my best. I cannot do better. You know, we have done a couple of mistakes today on the tire choice, and that has cost some seconds. Maybe still I'm missing some experience.
So a delighted Kenneth Eriksson could take his first win of the year.
Very fantastic for me, for the team as well, and of course also for Pirelli. I mean, really winning the first time since 1975. They have done a lot of development with the tires, the starts, everything worked perfectly. Very, very happy.
It had been a terrific drive by Eriksson to reward Subaru with their 2nd win from 2 starts. It was a narrow win, but it was enough. Mäkinen, meanwhile, had held off the challenge from McRae to finish 3rd, with confirmation of Radstrom and Schwartz rounding off the top 6. In the Drivers' Championship, after 2 rounds, Sainz now led from Liati and Eriksson, but just by 2 points. In the Manufacturers' Championship, those 2 wins from 2 starts meant that Subaru led from Ford. From snow to dust, and the longest, toughest event in the calendar, Kenya's Safari Rally.
Africa, Black Continent, and the wonderful people, the roads, incredible. You've never seen such rough, dusty, smooth roads in the whole of this world. And that's where the Safari Rally comes and takes place, and that's where we're going to be competing.
His local knowledge helped Ian Duncan lead the rally after the first competitive section. That section, though, also saw the first problem. Kenneth Eriksson hit a rock and lurched through the stage like a crab.
And it was a big stone, or 2 big stones on the road, probably from Carlos. And I had to go over one of them, which one, and I took the right one, and it took one of the lower arm, or the hub, so it knocked the bolt out from the hub, you see, so I lost the wheel there.
Kenneth and Staffan Parmander had done their part in just getting to the service area. It was now the mechanics' turn. But it was no good. They were out. Sainz was another driver who also hit problems on that first section.
Tell me the animals, please. Tell me the animals.
That collision with an animal, possibly a gazelle, had taken a wheel off.
Te lo dije. Carlos, está apretado. Si no funciona la pistola, la apreté, la reapreté. Todo lo que pude y más. Todo lo que pude y más, porque le di más retoque. Helicopter, we lost the wheel. The wheel nuts are broken, so we cannot continue. That's the end of the rally for us.
Sainz, like Eriksson, began his long journey home. Mäkinen had lost a little time on the first section, but made up for it on the second and took the lead. On the third section, though, Schwartz caught Mäkinen and led an event for the first time this year. Colin McRae hasn't much experience of the Safari. He was playing a waiting game. Mäkinen's teammate on his first rally of the year was Richard Burns.
50. Fast left. 50. Turn K right on bump.
Ian Duncan had backed off after that first section. He was third last year in the same car and was hoping for better in '97. A string of problems meant that Mäkinen and Seppo Harjana weren't happy men.
We had just puncture 2-3 kilometers before the end, and that's all. I think it's quite important to go quite slowly, because still it's a long way to go.
As the first day drew to a close, McRae was relieved to be in third place. Burns was second, although the day wasn't without its problems for him. He started this section without a clutch. Happily, he reached service and the clutch was changed. Schwartz, though, led the rally at the end of leg one.
Quite a good day. I mean, we didn't have any problems today. The car was working very, very well. Apart from one shock absorber, everything was perfect.
Day two. Schwartz began the day in the lead, but problems weren't far away.
Jarek, we have got the problem with the rear shock right-hand side.
After 60 kilometers, we had a shock absorber broken on the rear, which pulled out in one go, and then almost the wheel fall off, so we have to stop and have to change it.
Mäkinen too had his fair share of problems, a string of punctures costing time. Eventually, mechanical damage caused by those punctures meant retirement. Colin McRae had a great morning and had grabbed the lead, but on the third section of the day, he and Nicky Grist had a heart-stopping moment. The collision with that wall of stones had caused quite bad damage to the front of the car.
I thought it was just finished. I mean, the car was right up in the air and I thought it would have taken the whole front off. Luckily, it's damaged one corner very badly and the front of the car's not too bad.
For Richard Burns, dust was the problem. He was forced to a standstill several times on the second section. Duncan, meanwhile, was waiting for the pair ahead to break something. On a day of bizarre incidents, again, it was Schwartz's turn.
Throttless. Take your shoe belt out. What do you want? Take your shoe belt out. Take it out.
We have broken the throttle cable, and Armin has a very good idea. He borrowed my shoes, and now it's working. But we did 30 kilometers like that on the stage, so not the best way to do it.
His steady, cautious drive meant that Ian Duncan was third at the end of the day, the car perhaps feeling its age.
What are they working on now?
Changing everything, I hope. We need a new car.
Burns had been fastest on the day's last section. He was second, using helpful advice from his helicopter at times.
50.
In middle, Richard.
Flat right, slow, keep middle.
McRae, though, could breathe a sigh of relief. Despite the collision with the wall, he led the rally.
I think the lead's probably about 6 minutes now, so 6 minutes in Safari is probably 6 seconds in any other event. So it's not an awful lot. We still need to be very careful.
And so to the third and final day. Colin McRae started it running first on the road.
Fast bump. Straight, 850.
Colin and Nicky Grist must have thought they'd used up all their bad luck on day two. Wrong.
I mean, we're lucky to be here, really. After about 85, 86 kilometres into the section, the alternator failed. Then we had to pull the fans out, then the engine started to run hot, and then it started misfiring, then we had to put the fan in, and then we had to do something else, and then the suspension went.
French privateer Frederick Dorr would finish in 6th place. But the highest placed privately run car was the Toyota of Jonathan Toroitich, 5th. Schwartz came home 4th, despite all the scares. But exactly the same as last year, 3rd place was Ian Duncan's reward.
Medium right over brow. To long bad right.
Richard Burns and Robert Reid finished 2nd, a brilliant result, and one he and the team were delighted with.
It's my best result in the World Championship, in the full World Championship rally, and 2 British drivers, 1st and 2nd, so I'm very happy.
That allowed the new team of Colin McRae and Nicky Grist to taste victory for the first time.
Into 2 left.
To the applause of their mechanics, they'd taken Subaru's 3rd victory of the year.
Relieved that it's all over. It's a long event, this, and the last stage just seemed to go on and on forever, so I'm happy that it's all over.
It looked to be a Subaru domination, 3 wins from 3 starts. 7 minutes the gap between first and second, with Duncan, Schwartz, Toroitich and Dorr rounding off the top 6. There was now also a new leader in the Manufacturers' Championship after that third round. Colin McRae had just a 1-point lead over Sainz, with Liati and Ericsson tied for third place. No change though in the Manufacturers' leaderboard. Subaru still led. And so to round 4, back to Europe and the Rally of Portugal. No prizes for guessing that it's an event popular with spectators. 80,000 packed into stage 1. If you think it looks bad from outside the car, share a ride with Nicky Grist and Colin McRae and see if you share their opinion.
Unbelievable, look at it, yeah. Into long 6 right. Now this is crazy. 30k, long 3 right minus. 6 left.
Look at
300.
That. I can't even see the finish board. I should never have been allowed to run.
In the end, stage 1 was cancelled, but it wasn't the behaviour of the spectators which caused the cancellation.
Some cable stuck to the wheel and rolling there and break the brake pipe, and on the start of the stage I felt there's no brakes at all.
McRae restarted superbly. Fastest on stage 2, he took the lead despite this spin. Carlos Sainz was second after that stage, although his rally didn't last much longer.
Well, 2 kilometers to the end of stage number 3, big noise suddenly in the transmission and car stopped. No more drive, and I think something break in the center diff or something break in the gearbox, or big explosion.
The early leader, Colin McRae, soon joined Sainz, but his retirement was caused by electrical failure.
Into 6 right and K 3 left and tight.
Oh, it's dead. Just tell him to stop. All the ignition powers, everything on it just won't run.
Nick to service, come in.
No, push.
The cause of the problem was a mystery. No electrics, but they had ignition. They needed a push out of the stage and had to walk back to service.
Colin, what happened?
Just this electrical problem, whatever it was, just completely stopped the engine now.
How far into the stage?
About a K from the end.
And the engine just died, or what?
Yeah, just stopped, wouldn't start again.
Tommy Mäkinen was desperate to win his first event of the year, so the 2 retirements were good news. Kenneth Ericsson was then left as the sole surviving Subaru driver, and he was trying to forget the disappointment of Safari. This was Freddie Leutz's first rally since the string of disappointments in Monte Carlo. But for his teammate Marcus Gronholm, there was retirement in spectacular fashion. Richard Burns was again Mäkinen's teammate, inspired by that superb second place in Kenya. While Sainz's teammate once again was the consistent Schwartz. Consistent at finding problems, that is.
Well, so far has been quite all right. On the last stage we just slipped over a bank and lost a minute there because he couldn't get back. Otherwise it was fine.
At the end of the day, the leading local driver was Rui Madeira in 5th place in his Subaru. Richard Burns was 4th in the Mitsubishi Charisma. Leix in the old Toyota Celica was 3rd. Kenneth Ericsson and Staffan Pamander were embroiled in a 2-way scrap for the lead. But the leader was Tommy Mäkinen, the Mäkinen of old. Day turned to night, and with the daylight went Mäkinen's confidence. He led until the 2 night stages, when his challenge faded. And so it was Kenneth Ericsson and Staffan Pamander who led the rally at the end of the day. It had been a brilliant drive.
I had a good run so far, and leading, I'm very pleased with my performance and also for the team as well.
Day 2 and a daylight start meant Kenneth Ericsson wasn't so quick. The first 3 stages of the day were exact repeats of the last 3 of day 1, but Ericsson couldn't repeat his feat of the previous day.
Till ansin höger 2 plus. Till vänster 3. I höger 4.
Mäkinen's confidence had returned. He was on a charge and made up nearly all of the lost time. At the next service area, it was obvious Ericsson was under pressure.
I mean, I've been trying my best, but Tom has been a bit faster, so he's now 1 second behind me, so it's a very close fight.
Of course, going flat out, but maybe still I could go a bit faster, but of course it makes more risk as well.
For Mitsubishi, Tommi Mäkinen provided the silver lining, Richard Burns the cloud.
Towards the end of the stage, we lost first, second and third. And then just on the short piece of road section here, 4th, 5th and 6th are all stripped as well, so we can't go anywhere.
Rui Madeira got up to 4th place as a result of Burns' retirement, but an accident lost him over 30 minutes. Schwartz had a few problems caused by visibility, but otherwise was more or less okay. He was 4th. Loix in the Celica had a trouble-free day. He seemed to be enjoying himself in 3rd place. There was still a 2-way fight for the lead, but Ericsson had been losing time all day. Mäkinen was pulling away, but the contest would be decided by an unlikely ally, Ericsson's car.
The engine just stopped for some funny reason we really don't know yet, but I realized like maybe 500 meters before that something went wrong, and then it was just completely dead. I couldn't restart it, and we really tried very hard with all the options we could think about, but it was impossible to start the engine.
Freddie Loix and Sven Smeets then gratefully inherited 2nd place. The pressure was now off Mäkinen. Fastest on every one of the day's 9 stages, he'd take a massive lead into the 3rd and final day. 3 1/4 minutes, in fact, Tommy's lead. Amazingly, the top 6 contained 3 privateers. Masao Kamioka was 6th in the Subaru. Monaco-based Jean-Pierre Richelmy was 5th in an old Escort Cosworth. But the new Escort World Rally car of Gregoire de Mavius was 4th. The works car of Schwartz was 1 place higher, 3rd, heading for his first podium finish of the year. With de Mavius, Loix was the 2nd Belgian in the top 5.
It was quite difficult with all the good drivers in the rally. I think I had no chance to finish 2nd, but okay, they had some problems and we did some good stage times, and now we are 2nd and I'm quite happy.
But all the retirements meant that the pressure was off Tommi Mäkinen. He took his first win of the year.
It's really what we need. It's very good for our team. We really need. I need it, and everybody needs it.
Equally as important, perhaps, the Subaru stranglehold had been broken. 4 minutes the winning margin from Loix, Schwartz, de Mavius, Richelmy and Kamioka. 4 events gone, and the Drivers' Championship had its 4th leader. Mäkinen now led by 5 points from McRae, with Sainz, Schwartz, Liati and Ericsson rounding off that top 6. Subaru still led the manufacturers' table, though. Remaining in Europe and the all-tarmac Rally of Catalunya in Spain, round 5. The fiercely loyal local spectators only had eyes for one man, Carlos Sainz. He and Luis Moya, though, had a disappointing start. Rear brake problems meant they were 6th after the first few stages. Their teammates Armin Schwartz and Denis Girardet were the only men to finish all 4 rounds of the championship so far. The same problems meant they were 8th.
Problem with the brakes, the car is over braking from the rear, so it's difficult to make a late break all the time, and I'm not very confident.
But Tommi Mäkinen had been fastest on that long opening stage and was now just 7 seconds behind the Subarus.
Oikea 2 pitkä vasen nopea, heti oikea nopea plus sumppuun.
With Schwartz out, it was now Sainz's turn to have problems. In his case, it was transmission. And also in his case, it was a complete mystery.
We broke exhaust, and then the flames destroyed the prop shaft.
The rally leader was the next to have problems. The damage caused by that puncture was clear, but the time lost was the biggest worry.
The puncture very near the start, and we drove slowly to try and let the EMI work, but it didn't work for whatever reason, we don't know, and we had to stop and change.
Gilles Panizzi was now third thanks to McRae's puncture, the same problem which had cost him the lead on day one. Liati, though, still shared the lead. But it was now with Tommi Mäkinen. Had it not been for one small error, he'd have led on his own.
Okay, vasen täys 3.
So what is going to be the deciding factor?
Going flat out tomorrow as fast as possible.
I think tomorrow morning is the maximum attack.
And so day three's 5 stages would decide the rally. Mäkinen was running first on the road. Liati was next, but he lost 3 seconds on the first stage and 6 on the next. So Mäkinen now led by 9 seconds with just 3 stages remaining.
So I'm very happy at the moment for the performance of car and mine. It's been very good.
The tire is very hot, and the problem is this is not good feeling for me.
His string of problems meant that the local hero, Sainz, finished out of the points. Also outside the points, Uwe Nittel, finishing 8th, not helped by a spin. That allowed Rui Madeira to finish 6th in the Subaru. Angelo Medeghini and his wife Barbara co-driving could finish 5th, a superb result. McRae was a frustrated 4th. Francois Delacour had retired meanwhile after being pushed out of Parc Fermé. That left Panizzi, the sole surviving Peugeot driver, in 3rd place. And so to the final stage, just 4 seconds between Mäkinen and Liati.
Ja helppo vasen, aukeaa, 120
Tommy, exactly the same time at the halfway point. Do you think it's enough to have won?
Yeah, I think it should be. We had... Okay, we never know.
Liati needed to take 5 seconds off Mäkinen if he was to win. He didn't.
Maximum attack, but it's not possible.
Tommy's tyres went off on the second half. How were your tyres?
The same for me, the same.
22.43, it's not enough, Piero. What a rally it's been, though. Very, very close.
Yes.
Congratulations, Tommy, you did it.
Thank you, thank you. I'm so happy. It was one of the most important event. I won my first Propo Tarmac event, and it's really something. It's like last year World Championship title. It's about a similar feeling at the moment.
Not only Mäkinen's, but Mitsubishi's first ever win on a tarmac event. 7 seconds the gap between first and second, with Panizzi, McRae, Medeghini and Madeira rounding off the top 6. 5 rounds gone and the Drivers' Championship looked slightly different. Mäkinen still led, but his win meant that he opened up a 12-point lead over Liati and McRae, who were now tied in second place. No surprise in the manufacturers' table. Round 6 then, 3 weeks later, and another tarmac event on the island of Corsica. Mäkinen was determined to make it 3 wins in a row, but could only manage 6th fastest on the first stage. McRae had other ideas. He was fastest on stage 1 and took the lead.
Into 4 left plus opens, into 4 right minus line, into 2 left plus.
But the Peugeots were back. After stage 2, Panizzi led. Delacour meanwhile was second, 6 seconds behind his teammate. Extensive testing before the rally meant that Ford were a changed team. Sainz was a happy man once again.
Izquierda, derecha, rápida marcha en cruce, 2.
Car is working better, so we are much happier, and at least we are in the fight for a rally, which is the most important thing.
So nearly the winner in Spain, Liati was 4th fastest on stage 1. Armin Schwartz had a new co-driver for the event, Phil Mills, but it didn't stop his problems.
3. Left 3 to 4 minus.
We broke a drive shaft in the last stage under braking, and we went up a bank, and we ripped the front bumper off.
Uwe Nittel also clouted the scenery. At the end of the day, Mäkinen was 6th. 38 seconds separated the top 6. Liati was in 5th place. Subaru teammate McRae was 4th. Despite 3 fastest stage times, Sainz was 3rd. But the talk at the next service area was the threat posed by the F2 cars.
It's the same problem as we had in Catalunya. The F2 cars are far quicker.
Well done for Peugeot, and I think somebody has to rethink in the regulations, in my opinion.
Francois Delacour and Daniel Grataloup were second. But Gilles and Hervé Panizzi led by 6 seconds, so a Peugeot 1-2 was a real possibility.
So on the last stage it was humid on the descent, and I was going fast and much faster than Carlos Sainz. And now I am second, 5 seconds behind. Gilles has done a fantastic day today.
Day 2 began wet. The longest stage of the rally started the day, and tyre choice was what dominated almost every conversation.
Peugeot, they have one car on the slick tires and the other one on the rain tires. Carlos live on the rain tires, and the other thing they will live on the dry tires.
Even the normally calm Subaru team were rattled. Panizzi was on dry tyres, but the gamble didn't pay off. He lost 46 seconds, handing the lead to his teammate Delacour on rain tyres. Sainz, also on rain tyres, was even quicker, climbing to 2nd place. McRae, though, was on dry tyres and lost 45 seconds.
30. Care, 3 left minus tightens.
We took the wrong tyre. We took a more or less dry tyre, and it was very wet for the first half of the stage.
Mäkinen chose the correct tyres for the stage, but they didn't help when this happened.
Suddenly 2 cows jumped to the road, and it was no time to even braking at all. I was just lift throttle and we hit straight to the other cow, and from there straight to the wall, and we dropped down about 30-40 meters, quite far to the river.
So Mäkinen and Seppo Harjanne were out in one of the biggest accidents for years. Day 2 had yet more problems in store for the unlucky Schwartz and Phil Mills.
Left 3 to 4 minus.
Piero Liati was 5th, but appeared to have lost interest.
Per sinistra lunga chiude 4, in destra 2+.
It was a different story with McRae, however. He was quickest on 4 of the day's 6 stages. Panizzi, cursing his tyre choice, was 3rd. Ford's development work had obviously paid off. Sainz shared the lead at the end of Day 2.
Well, I think the rally is still very open, you know. Panizzi is 9 seconds. Colin is also coming very quick. It's only 19 seconds. So it is easy to be first or to be 4th.
It was Delacour who shared that lead with Sainz, although he didn't seem too bothered by the exalted company.
How does it feel to be absolutely level with Carlos Sainz going into the final day?
It's not a problem for me. Carlos Sainz is not the big chief.
Day 3, 6 final stages, around 140 kilometres. Like Day 1, it was dry and fine. McRae, one of 4 drivers, now fighting for victory. Gilles Panizzi was quickest on the day's 2nd stage, closing the gap on his teammate. Delacour, though, had been fastest on the 1st stage of the day, but the top 4 places are now closing up. Sainz edged past Delacour on the 2nd stage, leading once again.
Tire choice will be very important if the weather is becoming a little bit crazy.
Yet another Formula 2 car, Philippe Bugalski's Renault Megane, ended the rally in 6th place. Liati looked to have settled for 5th, content to let the battle ahead unfold. Going into the last stage, tyre choice again looked to be crucial.
We've got people all over the place in the stage now just giving us weather reports, so it's just down to picking the right tyre.
Important thing is, you know, do not make a mistake with the tyres and have the correct tyre now.
Francois Delacour spun on that last stage, so losing any chance of victory. So did Panizzi, so it was now a 2-horse race.
Into 6 right tightens, the 5 right plus line, and 5 left plus. 50, 6 left, 50, 3 right plus, and opens.
Colin McRae and Nicky Grist flew through the stage, men on a mission.
Okay, 5 left plus, tightens, don't cut. 50, okay, 25 or 26.
Sainz and Luis Moya started the last stage 7 seconds ahead of McRae. Surely the gap was too great to make up.
Yeah, no, it's all in tyres, depending on the tyre choice.
But no, McRae had done it, an unbelievable 15 seconds faster than Sainz.
You've driven as hard as you could?
I couldn't go any quicker, probably harder than I could drive.
McRae's 2nd win of the year then, thanks to that stunning drive on the last stage. 8 seconds the winning margin from Sainz, Panizzi, Delacour, Liati and Bugalski. No points from Corsica for Mäkinen then, but he still led the drivers' table by just 2 points from McRae. Liati and Sainz now shared 3rd place. In the Manufacturers' Championship, Subaru still led. And so across the Atlantic for round 7, the Rally Argentina and a new teammate for Carlos Sainz.
The car is there, the potential is there. We only have to find, you know, all the things and little details, because nowadays the rallying is so tight anyway that if we find all the things together, that should be a winning car.
Kankkunen replacing Schwartz then. So to the action. Championship leader Tommi Mäkinen ran first on the road. But the big story was his teammate Richard Burns, making up for the disappointment of Portugal by leading for the first time.
40. K-right plus over crest, long. 30, medium left minus long.
I've been pushing fairly hard on the first 3 proper stages, which were quite quick, and then a little bit carefully on this one, which is a little bit tricky coming downhill.
Colin McRae had shared the lead after stage 1, but was now beginning to drop back.
Into Ford and 3 right plus. 50. 6 crest.
In fact, after stage 1, it had been a 3-way tie for the lead, Sainz one of the other 2 drivers. His teammate Kankkunen the third. To everyone's amazement, 2 Finns using English pace notes.
Left and medium right and fast left 30, long K right opens and tightens to 90 right.
In the Subaru team, Kenneth Eriksson was back after those 2 tarmac events. And Didier Auriol making his second appearance of the year in a privately run Toyota. Kankkunen was making a cautious start, but quickly settling into the new car.
50, very, very long medium right.
He and Juha Repo were 5th at the end of the day. Burns and Robert Reid had slipped back. They were 4th. Sainz and Lewis Moyer were 3rd, concerned about the damage to the front of the car.
Well, it has been a little bit of stress over the last few stages, but I'm happy we are 3rd, not so far away, and, well, what can you say?
But there was concern at Ford about those missing bumpers.
How many did you lose?
I think we've lost a total of 4 now.
How many spares have you brought?
When we started, we had a total of 6, I think, so we're up against it, really.
McRae's never finished the rally in the past, but the fastest time on the last 3 stages of the day helped him to 2nd place.
Into 3 right plus line. Into 6 right.
The rally leader, though, was Tommi Mäkinen, but the top 5 were separated by just 55 seconds.
Oikea eri. Vasen yli nyppylän 2, lyhyt vasen eri plus.
Colin did last few stages very well, and he got that little bit, and so I think tomorrow will be a big fight.
As dawn broke on day 2, that bumper story at Ford had an unexpected ending.
We found a local company in Cordoba last night who actually worked all night. They made a mould off the one remaining one that we had that was in good condition. We collected them at 6 o'clock this morning, and we fitted them here for the first service. I think if it had been England or anywhere else in the world, it would have been a different story, but I think there's so much passion here for Carlos.
A passion indeed. Sainz must just have been relieved to have been running in one piece. No such worries for McRae, who set off to catch the rally leader. That man, Tommi Mäkinen, had other ideas. He was 17 seconds quicker on the 13th stage. But Mäkinen's teammate Richard Burns was about to suffer his 2nd retirement of the year.
To crest 50, slow K right. And opens.
Richard and his co-driver Robert Reid had knocked off a rear wheel. As they struggled to repair it, their mechanics could only stand and watch, powerless to help.
Give it one more.
They did get going again, but soon stopped for good.
There was some rocks in the road, and just coming around a long tight corner, there was quite a big bang, and it must have snapped the rear arm, and now it's pulled all the drive shaft out and everything.
Kankkunen and Repo inherited 4th place as a result of Burns' misfortune, but they also fell victim to an Argentinian rock.
Long easy left.
Burns had retired with a rear wheel knocked off, Kankkunen with a front one. The 2 retirements took a little of the pressure off McRae. He was fastest on 4 of the day's stages.
50, slow 3 left line. 50, 6 left minus.
But he couldn't touch Mäkinen, quickest on 7 of the day's 10 special stages.
We were already last year very fast on this stage, and I like it. It must be my famous stage.
Finland's Marcus Gronholm had made the long journey to Argentina in the car soon to be replaced, the Celica. After Burns and Kankkunen had gone out, Kenneth Eriksson was the third driver to hold fourth place in just 2 stages. Sainz was third, the bumper holding, and all was well.
Yeah, I'm trying my best and trying to, the whole day trying to catch up with Colin and with Tommy, but it hasn't been possible.
Colin McRae was still second, but differential and then power steering problems meant that he'd lost a minute to the leader during the day. And that leader was still Tommi Mäkinen, now with an almost unassailable lead.
He's been going quicker all day really, apart from one stage, so there's nothing I can do about it now.
Should be enough. I know quite well the stages, and they are quite fast and soft surface. I think there's not so much to do.
Day 3, 5 final stages and an early start for drivers, co-drivers and spectators. Sainz's rally was destined to end on stage 21 with cylinder head gasket failure.
Well, what can you do? The only thing we can do is keep trying. I'm sure the team is working very, very hard to change the luck we are having at the moment and this misfortune, and I'm sure the results will come.
Gustavo Treyes finished 6th in his Mitsubishi on his way to becoming the Group N World Rally Champion. Oriol finished 5th, a good result for the old car. But even better was Marcus Gronholm, a long way from his native Finland. Eriksson finished 3rd, a great boost for both championships. McRae was 2nd, glad just to finish the rally on his 3rd attempt. But Mäkinen held on to win, his 3rd victory of the year. His delighted service crew welcomed him back at the end of a punishing event. The champagne fight, though, was unequal. 2 Subaru drivers against 1 from Mitsubishi. Confirmation of the finishing positions then. Mäkinen's winning margin over a minute from McRae, Eriksson, Gronholm, Oriol and Treyes. The Drivers' World Championship had no surprises. Mäkinen now extending his lead to 6 points from McRae, with Liati and Sainz tied for 3rd place. And the Manufacturers' Championship still led by Subaru. From the South American autumn to the scorching heat of Greece in midsummer and the Acropolis Rally, round 8. The June sunshine was pleasant enough, but the rally had plenty of hazards ready to trap the unwary. Colin McRae was one of the first victims of those Greek roads.
Into 4 left plus over crest. Into bump.
Snap steering column or something.
Well, hang on, are we going to get out, Cole? Nick to supervision with no mobile again, but it's not very nice at all, over.
Just hit a bump on the inside of a corner, just the force of the bump bent the steering column.
McRae, going out on stage 2, handed the rally lead to Sainz, but the lead would be short-lived.
The exhaust damaged the shock absorber, and I lost the shock absorber in the last stage. I lost 1 minute and a half.
Sainz's problems meant that Mäkinen now led the rally, but soon he had problems.
Maybe last 7.5 kilometers we had 2 punctures, and so of course I had to slow down a little bit.
Kenneth Eriksson then became the 4th driver to lead the rally after stage 5. Juha Kankkunen set the fastest time on stage 4, moving ahead of his troubled teammate.
Fast right 100, keep right to long K left opens.
2 retirements meant that Richard Burns was determined to finish this event, and he was in second place by early afternoon. An unlikely visitor to Greece was Sweden's Thomas Rodström, more at home in his native country's snow and ice. It was Rodström's teammate who had the dubious honour of crashing out on just the very first stage. Belgium's Freddie Loix would play no further part in the rally. Ericsson led the rally going into stage 6, but wouldn't be leading coming out. Kenneth and Staffan Parmander nursed their battered Subaru through the stage until they could reach service.
A circlip in the inside the steering rack has failed, and it caused the steering to just lock up occasionally and randomly, which is not a pleasant experience for him at all.
Ericsson dropping down the order meant that Thomas Rodström could finish 5th at the end of the day. Suspension problems having dropped Carlos Sainz to 4th, he still set the fastest time on the last stage of the day. In joint second place was Richard Burns, not being helped by having to slow to pass the rolled Subaru on stage 6.
Plus long, 60.
It was Tommi Mäkinen who shared second place with his young teammate. But with 2 Finns in the top 3 places, a delighted Juha Kankkunen led.
For me it's very good because a long time, you know, okay, I did Argentina and now leading the rally, so happy about, no problem today and good.
Day 2 and 7 more stages. For Juha Kankkunen and Juha Repo, their only problem would be a bent steering arm. Not so fortunate, however, was Kenneth Eriksson, who was forced to retire with a car too badly damaged after that previous day's roll. Tommi Mäkinen was another driver who had problems. A long list of breakages gave the Mitsubishi mechanics plenty of work to do. Unlike Ericsson, however, Mäkinen would continue.
For sure, 4 minutes is absolutely too much. So, bit bad luck, but it's rallying, everything can happen.
So Burns was now second, having a trouble-free morning, although the afternoon would be a different matter. Thomas Rodström survived a scare with brake failure to end the day in 5th place. That long list of breakages meant that Mäkinen was 4th.
Slow K right.
Burns' problems all occurred in the afternoon. A spin and then gear selection problems the least of his worries.
Slow K right in low.
He went on to break an engine mounting and then had a hold radiator.
Rich has been quite lucky. The part that broke, we've never changed it on a rally before, and I think to have changed it in the time they did was pretty good.
Sainz had a superb day, quickest on 6 of the 7 stages and climbed to 2nd by the end of the day. Only his teammate now stood between Carlos and victory. A Ford 1-2 had been unthinkable before the rally, now it was just 6 stages away.
It's going okay, we have no problems at all with the car. Car is working very good and we are just trying to catch up the time we lost yesterday.
Tomorrow is still quite a long day, but at the moment looks good.
Day 3, another early start and another dramatic conclusion to a rally. Kankkunen began the day 37 seconds ahead of Sainz, but began to back off.
40. Bad right sumppuun.
Sainz knew that team orders would be brought into play. Victory was now a formality. Richard Burns' luck had run out. He began leg 3 in the same way he ended leg 2.
He's now got a cracked block and losing water, so we've tried to seal it, and we're just keeping our fingers crossed.
Only 4 of the worst stages in the World Championship to go.
Second fastest on 2 of those stages helped Uwe Nittel secure 6th place. 5th was Rodstrom, now only 1 event left for the old Celica. There were 2 sets of team orders within the top 4. Burns deliberately incurred time penalties to allow Mäkinen to finish 3rd and claim an extra championship point.
Nothing to do with me, it's in other hand.
At Ford, Sainz was the team leader, so Kankkunen was told to drive for a finish. Sainz duly took his and Ford's first win of the season. Ford's team management were obviously delighted at the result.
It's a victory for the team, and I'm very happy from Ford, Malcolm, and all the mechanics. I think everybody has been working very hard.
When people know what effort has gone into to getting this team this far, it's just a tremendous amount of satisfaction, and I say, yeah, a lot of emotion there.
Sainz, Moyer and Wilson tasting the champagne for the first time. The leaderboard, 2 Fords from 2 Mitsubishis, all 4 affected by team orders. Rodstrom and Nittel rounded off the top 6. In the Drivers' Championship, Tommi Mäkinen's lead is now 10 points from Colin McRae, but Sainz is now only 4 points behind the Scotsman. No points for Subaru, but they still led the Manufacturers' Championship. 6 weeks later, and it was round 9, the Rally New Zealand. Spring in Auckland. Stage 1 of the rally, a spectator super special around Manukau City on the outskirts of Auckland. But it was the rolling hills around Auckland where most of the stages would be fought out. McRae won the rally 2 years ago and started as favourite. He led after stage 2. Mäkinen was chasing hard. Too hard. McRae and Grist saw the result as they drove by.
Tommy. And 6 crest 30, 5 right tightens into 6 left. Good. 50. 6 left, 150. Just concentrate and drive nicely. 6 crest.
So what exactly happened?
I don't understand what is wrong with this rally. It's so nice to drive. I like these dates. It's very much like 1,000 Lakes, and it's so enjoyable rally that because it's no luck. That's it.
McRae's lead was then 55 seconds, so he could cruise to victory. In theory.
Yeah, okay. Into 6 right.
It's something to do with the cam belt tensioner. The engine just stopped. We took the cover off it, and there's no tension in the cam belt. The cam belt's still there, so something mechanical in there.
Sainz's Escort had a new sequential gearbox, and he inherited the lead after McRae and Mäkinen went out. Burns now had the undivided attention of the Mitsubishi mechanics, just as well.
Four stages ago on the start line, we had an output shaft break. From being on the same time as Carlos at the time, we've dropped a hell of a long way now, and we're over 2 minutes behind.
Having 3-wheel drive on the second run through the spectator stage didn't help. Fastest through the last stage of the day helped Juha Kankkunen to third place.
And very long medium left and long medium right, hold in. 70.
Kenneth Eriksson had also been quickest on one stage, but he'd been slowed by early gearbox problems.
Till vänster 3, break i höger 2. Till vänster 2 plus, 20, vänster 5.
Those problems now sorted, he was second. But Carlos Sainz still led, determined to prove that the result in Greece hadn't been a one-off.
We didn't have any problem with the car, everything is working okay, and well, a lot of things happening in the front, and here we are.
And so to day 2, 8 more stages in the hills. Sainz started 22 seconds ahead of Eriksson, but running first on the road was a distinct disadvantage. In all, 39 seconds were lost on that stage, the longest of the rally. Kenneth Eriksson set the fastest time, and he grabbed the lead. But it wasn't just Sainz. Kankkunen also lost time to a charging Eriksson, while Richard Burns was also quicker than the two Fords. As the sunshine faded, the cars returned to Auckland. Burns had been quickest on 4 of the day's 8 stages, and he was now 4th. It's difficult to believe that this was only Kankkunen's 3rd event in the new car. He was 3rd.
Derecha rápida menos, para izquierda rápida, para derecha rápido, José cierra poco, abrirse 1. Derecha acá en cruce, se cierra poco. Para mucho ras. Izquierda rápido, ojo se cierra a fondo, abrirse 1.
Kenneth Eriksson and Staffan Parmander still led the rally, but only just. Sainz had recovered nearly all his lost time, blaming a poor tyre choice on that first stage for his poor performance.
Few stages today, I was struggling in the first position. But now we are 8 seconds. Tomorrow, I think the first 2 stages is going to be very important.
No, I think I will have no problem because it was a hard day today, but okay, 8 seconds lead first on the road tomorrow. It's not bad.
A misty start to the 3rd and final day. Eriksson now had the same handicap as Sainz had. 13 seconds were lost on that first stage of the day.
Till höger 3 minus. 20. Vänster 2 minus. Fan gör det för någonting, Ken?
Sainz and Moya were then on course to take their second successive event victory, until that collision with a sheep lost the pair 26 seconds, together with lots of damage caused to the bodywork, engine, radiator and suspension. The Ford mechanics were faced with a grim task, not at all pleasant, but they set to work. The tension in the Ford camp was clear. To retire now, with the finish almost in sight, would be a cruel blow. With time ticking away, Sainz blows the horn in frustration, desperate to leave before incurring time penalties. The pair eventually left, penalty-free. On the Toyota Celica's last official outing, Neil Bates from Australia and his co-driver Coral Taylor finished 6th. New Zealand's Possum Bourne finished 5th on his home event. Richard Burns and Robert Reid were 4th, cursing their day 1 problems. An increase in confidence within the Ford team saw Kankkunen finish third.
And long bad right. And long K left. 50. Medium left tightens to very long K left.
Even a string of fastest stage times wasn't enough to make up the lost time, and Sainz finished second.
We have tried our best. The whole team has tried very hard, and I think cannot do any more.
A relieved Kenneth Eriksson then hung on to win. It was the closest ever finish to the Rally New Zealand, a fact appreciated by Kenneth's mechanics.
I've been so unlucky this year. I've been leading in some stage in Portugal, also in Greece when I retired due to technical problems. So it was very good that it's coming for me now, and I'm looking very much forward to go to Finland.
This was the second victory of the year for Eriksson and co-driver Staffan Parmander. 13 seconds the gap between Eriksson and Sainz, with the rest of the top six being made up of Kankkunen, Burns, Bourne and Bates. McRae's retirement elevated Sainz to second in the Drivers' Championship. Although Mäkinen still led, McRae was now third, Eriksson, Liati and Burns making up the rest of the places. In the Manufacturers' Championship, no surprise, but Mitsubishi and Ford were now just 1 point apart. So to round 10, the Rally of Finland, formerly the Thousand Lakes Rally. Besides the championship battles, the big story was the return of Toyota to the World Championship with their new car, the Corolla.
Okay, it's the first time with this car during the race, and sure we start with a very difficult competition.
The car is packed with gadgets, like an electronic gear change joystick to the right of the driver. Oriol would contest all 5 of the remaining events, being joined by guest drivers like Finland's Marcus Gronholm on his home event. The local hero was Tommi Mäkinen, favourite to win again. The shock was that he wasn't the early leader. Sainz was the first non-Scandinavian to win the rally, and he led after stage 1. Colin McRae also enjoys rallying in Finland. He was faster than Mäkinen on 3 of the first 4 stages. Eriksson too fired up after his victory in New Zealand. And another local hero, Juha Kankkunen. Local children clamouring for his autograph at every service area. By the end of leg 1, Mäkinen was 5th, slowed by a string of turbo and intercom problems. Kankkunen was 4th, 3 Fords in the top 4.
70. Very long fast left opens. 50.
Jarmo Kuteleta was 3rd last year and was 3rd again in his privately run Escort at the end of day 1. Sainz should have been 2nd, but gambled on dropping to 6th by taking a time penalty.
We didn't want to be first car on the road at all.
Why is that?
Because if it is dry like it seems like it is, it's not good at all tomorrow.
It was a stunned Marcus Gronholm who led the rally at the end of the first day of competition for the new Toyota.
It's a little bit surprised, yes, but it's good for Toyota and also for me. It's very nice to lead the World Championship rally.
10 stages lay ahead on day 2, the longest day, which began at dawn. Gronholm discovered that first on the road was indeed a disadvantage. In 5th place, going into stage 5, the first of the day, Colin McRae discovered that it would also be his last. A dull rattle signifying the same problem which had caused retirement in both Portugal and New Zealand.
Obviously pretty gutted. The championship really out the window now, unless Tommy and Carlos had a disaster here.
Thanks to Sainz's gamble, Kuteleta was 2nd, but trying a little too hard perhaps. McRae out left Eriksson representing Subaru. He was 4th after stage 11. Sainz was fastest on 2 of the first 4 stages and led the rally after stage 8. Mäkinen meanwhile had climbed to 3rd, 15 seconds behind the Spaniard. Sainz had been right. First place on the road wasn't the place to be. Gronholm had slipped to 5th, but was happy enough. The car was certainly quick. Stage 12, and Kenneth Eriksson was about to join Colin McRae on the long journey home.
Koya stopped like 2 kilometers in on stage number 12, possibly the same problem as Colin has, I think.
Didier Auriol, meanwhile, couldn't match Gronholm's pace. Suspension and then transmission breakages cost over 3 minutes.
We have only two front wheel drives, so the problem comes inside the gearbox.
Finns continued to dominate the rally. Kutaleito was 5th at the end of the day. It had been a frustrating second leg for Gronholm. He was 4th. Frustration too for Kankkunen, who'd slipped from 2nd to 3rd. While Sainz, team leader, had slipped back to 2nd.
Para izquierda rápida menos, acaba rasando en derecha, para izquierda rápida menos corta, abrirse, izquierda rápida ojos de tierra, ras, para derecha buena más en quintas de tierra.
But it was Mäkinen who was in the driving seat, leading by just 2 seconds.
Two Finns surrounding a Spaniard. What's going to happen tomorrow?
Little bullfight for sure, but we will see then how it ends up.
My tactic is keep flat out and try to win this rally.
Day 3, 8 stages, 135 kilometres, and another early start. It looked to be a Mäkinen-Sainz fight. Mäkinen was fastest on both the first 2 stages. Sainz was only a second down on Tommy on the first stage, but then it all went wrong.
Well, we have an oil leak and we lost the front diff, the center diff and the power steering, so it was difficult to...
Are they going to be able to fix it on this service?
They are going to try. They are going to try.
Yet again, the mechanics were being asked to work miracles, and yet again they had to keep one eye on the clock.
Okay, down at the back.
Sainz was powerless to help, the car eventually being pushed out of the service area, and obviously all was not well. His teammate Kankkunen was then left chasing Mäkinen. He was quickest on the 3rd stage, now only 9 seconds separated the 2 Finns. But he too was having problems. Auriol was relieved to finish 8th after all his mechanical niggles. Then came the Scandinavians. Finland's Pasi Hagström, 6th. Sweden's Thomas Jansson, 5th. Finland's Sebastian Lindholm, 4th. Finland's Jarmo Kutaleito, 3rd for the 3rd successive year. Struggling through after losing so much time, Sainz and Lewis Moyer resorted to pushing the car at one point, but to no avail. Marcus Gronholm also wouldn't finish the event. He survived stage 20, the one on which Sainz had problems, but then fuel starvation on the road section meant he was out.
But I don't know where the problem is. Maybe no fuel or something in the fuel pump, I don't know.
Juha Kankkunen was fastest on one of the last 2 stages, but finished 2nd. Mäkinen was quickest on the other, the pair perfectly matched. In fact, the same top 3 as last year. To the applause of his mechanics, Mäkinen arrives at service, celebrating victory number 4. The 4th successive win in Finland puts him into the record books, confirmation too of an all-Scandinavian top 6. With all his rivals failing to finish the Rally of Finland, Mäkinen couldn't have had a better result. His lead in the Drivers' World Championship after 10 rounds, extending to 18 points. No finishes for Subaru, but they still led the manufacturers' table, although Mitsubishi were now just 8 points behind. Round 11, the newest round and the most exotic round of the championship, the Rally Indonesia. Tommi Mäkinen retired on the event last year, but knew that he was now on the verge of the 1997 driver's title. Victory would take him so much closer to that crown. McRae also retired in 1996. His hopes of the title were slipping away, and he badly needed a good result in Indonesia. This was the second event for Toyota's new Corolla, and Oriol was keen to improve on the 8th place he'd scored in Finland. The second car was driven by Australia's Neil Bates, but his rally ended after less than a day.
Into left, 4.5. Oops.
Juha Kankkunen nearly won the rally in 1996, and that newfound confidence in the Ford team meant that they were on the up. Sainz won the rally last year, starting as favourite, but the team hadn't done much testing. Like McRae, Kenneth Eriksson was concerned about those mystery engine faults, which had cost them so many points during the year. Richard Burns had missed Finland, but he was back at number 2 to Mäkinen. The stifling heat and humidity were causing problems for all the teams, drivers and mechanics.
You can imagine.
The slippery conditions meant that once again tyre choice was a major talking point, although some drivers, though, had other reasons for their slow start.
Maybe I'm driving too carefully, I don't know.
It's good to be leading, but in this condition, then it can change in one stage. That's the thing, we've just got to be really careful and make sure we get the tyre decision right.
Didier Auriol was frustrated by transmission problems, which meant that he ran with two-wheel drive for most of the day. Burns had a misfire, although he was fastest on the day's last stage. For Kenneth Eriksson, his problems weren't mechanical.
Slip it in.
Sainz had changed the suspension setup. He was much happier and 4th overall. Fastest on one of the day's stages, Kankkunen was 3rd, ahead of the team leader. Tommi Mäkinen was in 2nd place going into stage 8. Only around 8 seconds were lost, but there was more work for the Mitsubishi mechanics.
What have you been doing, Tommy? The last stage we hit the wall a little bit and broke front. Luckily not so badly, just the turbo pipe closed completely.
McRae's domination of the rally was almost total. Fastest on 5 of the day's stages, he led by 35 seconds. Day 2 began with bad news for Toyota. Auriol retired, but the reason given by the team didn't sound entirely plausible.
Well, he was in stage 11, Batu Honga stage, and in the middle of the stage is a village, and he saw a really nice holiday home there. So he stopped, and he's negotiating at the moment to buy that holiday home.
McRae was fastest on the first 2 stages of the day. Then came the 3rd.
Caution, 3 left minus over crest, slippy. Tightens and opens, 3 outside. Into 3 right opens.
Mäkinen had no idea of the dramas behind him, just as well. To his relief, McRae passes Mäkinen's Mitsubishi.
Into slow 3 left.
Another fan was broken and broke the radiator and water came out and engine overheating and that's it.
Colin McRae and Nicky Grist had problems of their own.
And 6 left. And 6 right over crest. Pardon? Fire.
The concern showed on the faces of all the Subaru team.
Stupid mistake, completely my fault. We went too quick in a slippy corner and hit a tree. And then
it burst the gearbox cooler and set the car on fire and broke the radiator. So we lost a lot of time. I don't know whether we'll be able to get it going or not.
Once again, the mechanics were the key to continuing. Every last ounce of energy was used to get the car going again. But it got little further. Retirement number 6 for McRae and Nicky Grist. That meant that Richard Burns was up to 4th after the 2 retirements. Kenneth Eriksson was 3rd, but at least there were no signs of those engine problems. The leader going into the day's last stage would be in 2nd place coming out.
Now that it's raining very hard, what are you going to do?
Go home.
Sainz was fastest on all of the last 5 stages of the day. No surprise that he'd overtaken Kankkunen, but could this be Ford's second 1-2 of the year? The 3rd and final day, 6 stages and a dry start to the day. Sainz began the day with a 20-second gap, but had a scare on stage 19 with suspension damage. Kankkunen looked to have settled for 2nd place, but kept up the pressure. As the cars were worked on, the relaxed drivers took on vital fluids, Kankkunen even suggesting that he was doing his team leader a favour.
Of course I have to push him a little bit to keep him awake. I mean, otherwise he's going to sleep.
An unusual name in the championship, Proton, 1st in Group N and 6th overall for Karamjit Singh. Yoshio Fujimoto, 5th in the old Celica. Richard Burns was 4th, cursing that misfire on the first day.
.60, left max over crest, 50, crest and flat left minus long and flat left long, 80 braking, K right.
Despite being fastest on the first 3 stages of the day, Eriksson was unable to catch the 2 Fords. That meant Kankkunen could finish 2nd for the 3rd time this season.
Long medium right and keep right to very, very long bad left tightens hard and very, very long medium right tightens.
Sainz had recovered from the suspension scare on stage 19 to take win number 2. It was a popular victory, the team now on course for both titles.
I'm very pleased after all the misfortune we have in the last 3-4 rallies. I think it's a good victory.
The 20th victory for Sainz on a World Championship event. The team's second 1-2 of the year, and a comprehensive one at that. 16 seconds between the two, with over a minute between Kankkunen and 3rd placed Kenneth Eriksson. Tommi Mäkinen still led the Drivers' Championship despite his non-finish, 8 points his lead. But in the Manufacturers' Championship, Subaru's dominance was over. 1 point was now all that they led Ford by. Back to Europe for round 12, and the Rally San Remo. A stunning sunrise greeted the crews. The final all-tarmac round of the series would spring a few surprises. The early leader, grabbing his moment of glory, was Paolo Andreucci. His performance, though, was a one-off. On the next stage, the guest driver in the new Corolla, Freddie Loix, took the lead.
25 even links rechts 80, om 25 links 53. Om 25 rechts 60 rond, links afvoor.
Back in the Subaru team was Piero Liatti, chasing Loix and fastest on 3 stages. Tommi Mäkinen's confidence after his Catalunya win was sky high. He was fastest on just 1 stage, though. Sainz is normally seen as a tarmac specialist, but he was slightly off the pace. Colin McRae won the Rally San Remo in 1996, but his confidence was low after that string of retirements.
1 left tightens. And 6 left, 100.
Oriol couldn't match the pace of his young Belgian teammate, not helped by a broken gear joystick. Juha Kankkunen too lost 18 seconds to the flying Loix on just 3 stages. Uwe Nittel was back after a long spell away. He made a cautious start. while the rally leader knew that Liati was breathing down his neck.
Yes, I'm leading, okay? It's the beginning of the rally and we need to go a long way. But it's better to have a very good start than a bad start.
Colin McRae and Nicky Grist made just one of those bad starts. A puncture and a poor suspension setup meant they ended the day 8th. Kankkunen was also struggling a little. He was 6th. Frustrated by the new car's mechanical weaknesses, Oriol was 5th. At the end of day 1, Carlos Sainz and Luis Moya were 4th.
No, of course I would like to be on the lead, but also I have to watch what is Tommy, and I'm trying to do my best.
Mäkinen was 3rd, over 20 seconds behind the leading pair. Loix had a superb day, fastest on 3 stages, a terrific performance. But it was Liati who'd snatched the lead. He'd go into day 2 with an advantage of 2 seconds.
E sinistra 3 più, per destra 3 e sinistra 4.
Only 2 seconds in front Freddy Loix, but it's a very good day for me.
Day 2, 8 stages in the Savona region. Liati was now running first on the road. Loix began badly, transmission problems dropping him from 2nd to 6th. Nittel was charging, 2nd fastest on 2 stages despite this spin, but it couldn't last. A new suspension setup helped McRae leap from 8th to 2nd. Didier Auriol and Denis Girardet picked up a 30-second time penalty, ending the day in 7th place. Loix was 6th at the end of the day, ahead of Auriol's identical car. Kankkunen was 5th, only too aware that he'd be scrapping with Loix on the final day. No more than 4 seconds had separated Sainz and Mäkinen all day. The battle between the pair was for points, championship points, and Mäkinen was 3rd overnight.
Ja vasen jatkuu pitkä, kun vasen huomio kiristyy. Ja helppo vasen oikein 100.
Liati still led the rally, but the challenge was now from his teammate. McRae was fastest on 6 of the day's 8 stages, and he was now 2nd, just 6 seconds behind Piero Liati.
The car is perfect, the tires were perfect, so maybe we were not perfect.
Yeah, everything just sort of fell into place today. I was happier with the car, and we had a very good time the first stage in the morning, which sort of gets you in the right gear and puts you in the right track for the rest of the day.
I think between Carlos and me, it's most important at the moment.
We are basically the same distance than yesterday, so it's no much difference. 3 seconds at the moment.
Another early start to day 3, an exact rerun of day 1. Auriol would be frustrated in his quest for points, finishing out of the championship positions. Freddy Loix, meanwhile, was slowly catching Juha Kankkunen. By stage 23, the gap was just 1 second. This spin, Loix's only error of the day. Kankkunen lost that battle on the very last stage, so Loix finished 5th by just 3 seconds. And so to the next battle for 3rd place between Mäkinen and Carlos Sainz. Sainz was fastest on the first stage of the day. The position was now reversed. He was 3 seconds ahead of Mäkinen. Tommy fought back, but Sainz was still just ahead. The battle, of course, was for more than just the place. Championship points were at stake. However, this was another battle Ford would lose. They started the final stage on exactly the same time, but Mäkinen was 2 seconds quicker.
Today we have been fastest overall in the leg by only 1 second to him, but not enough.
But it was the battle for victory which dominated that final day. Liati began leg 3 in the lead, but lost time. McRae led 2 stages from home and started the final stage with 1 second over Liati.
There's nothing more to do, you just have to keep going, and it's going to be the best driver that wins at the end of the day.
McRae, though, had team orders on his side. Liati was forced to stop on the final stage.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, vai.
McRae charged through the stage. He looked to have won.
Okay. Well done.
But in the end, an upset Fabrizia Pons had to incur a time penalty to allow her teammates to win.
No, I'm very happy, but my job. It's my job, this.
So we've had a very tough battle all the way through, and we've finished first and second.
An engineered victory, perhaps, but one which gave Colin McRae and Nicky Grist a slim chance of the title. 6 seconds their winning margin, with confirmation too of those 2 other battles, Mäkinen 3rd, Loix 5th. The Drivers' Championship after round 12 was now a 3-way battle. No one else could win the title but Mäkinen, Sainz and McRae. The Manufacturers' Championship, though, was a different story. 13 points Subaru's lead. And so to round 13, the last long journey of the year for Rally Australia. The now traditional start to the rally, stage 1, the glitz and glamour of the Super Special at Langley Park.
2.6 left.
After the first forest stage, the rally was led by the new Toyota Corolla of Didier Auriol. Tommy Mäkinen, though, had already lost time with a problem at Langley Park.
The start motor wasn't work at all, and so we had to push car to run, and of course it means half-a minute penalty.
Mäkinen's teammate Richard Byrne snatched the lead when Auriol hit problems on stage 3.
Fast left to crest 40, medium left plus to medium left Stone 100.
Juha Kankkunen's a past winner in Australia, but his rally began badly.
Just, you know, went a little bit too much sideways. I saw the corner a bit too late because in the dust and touched the tree, and just the bottom arm bolt broke.
Colin McRae's also won in Australia and knew that he'd have to do well this year.
We've got to win here to keep the championship alive, and obviously if we don't win, Tommy's going to be very close, and if he wins, then the championship's finished.
Carlos Sainz also badly needed victory to keep his title hopes alive.
We have to catch up if we want to play something in this game in the World Championship, so we try our best.
Yet another former winner is Kenneth Eriksson, who needed victory for the Asia-Pacific title. Mäkinen's miserable first leg would continue. More damage for the team to fix, and yet more lost time.
still here?
Still here, and still it's a long way to go.
Kenneth Eriksson was also in need of help from his mechanics.
We had a 5th gears corner very short with bushes, and in the middle of that corner must have been a stone. Because the speed was so high, then the wheel collapsed.
The work done, any memories of the similar problem in Kenya were forgotten, and a grateful Eriksson thanked the team as he left. Sainz ended the day 27 seconds ahead of Eriksson in 4th place. Transmission problems had dropped Oriol from 1st to 3rd. Burns was 2nd, although he wouldn't have the advantage of running 6th on the road on the 2nd day.
74 left plateau crest, opens line. 100, care 6 left, and narrow jump line and 6 right.
9 seconds ahead of Burns and Robert Reid were Colin McRae and Nicky Grist, the road sweepers for the others on leg 2. Handicapped by the loose gravel, McRae's lead was soon down to 3 seconds. Burns suffered as well. His 2nd place was coming under threat. Equal fastest on stage 12, Oriol's challenge soon faded. Sainz was fastest on 2 stages and moved up to 3rd place. Mäkinen was also fastest on 2 stages, and after the 3rd was within just 6 seconds of snatching 5th from Kenneth Eriksson. Neil Bates and Coral Taylor visited the scenery, but at least they kept going.
There's not a huge amount of damage, but I was very lucky not to roll.
Not so lucky were Kenneth Eriksson and Staffan Pamander when this happened on stage 15. Mäkinen was 5th at the end of the day, fastest on 4 of the 9 stages.
I think it's not enough distance, and Carlos goes so fast at the moment. It's very difficult.
Oriol was 4th, 16 seconds ahead of Mäkinen.
Sur piège. Piège droite à fond, sur attention gauche 5, plonge. Putain de merde, c'est bon, c'est bon. Droite à fond, attention gauche 5, plonge sortie large.
Burns was 3rd, but willing to sacrifice that position if team orders dictated. But the day belonged to Carlos Sainz, fastest on 5 stages. But with only 1 stage remaining, McRae still led, despite a spin on one of the afternoon stages.
56 left.
In a calculated move, however, McRae allowed Sainz to take the lead at Langley Park.
Was that a slight tactical move?
We just had a bad time, we couldn't really get it going there.
Well, it is important because if not, I'm sure Colin will not slow down.
I think it's Carlos's turn to go first and see how he gets on.
So day 3 would decide it, run over Australia's gravel like ball bearings. Sainz and McRae were just 2 seconds apart, but the contest would be decided by Sainz's car.
We are in the middle of the stage, we have a problem, we don't know what it is. Dale al crank, dale al crank. Crank. A ver, prueba ahora.
McRae and Grist passed the stricken car, all too aware that Sainz's bid for the title was over.
70. Okay, 6 crest, 70.
Carlos began the long journey home, while back at the service area there was disbelief.
To be honest, I don't know, but you could feel like the engine was not going very good. And then suddenly stop.
To go out in this situation when really Carlos was so fired up, I really felt that, you know, very, very confident that he was going to win today.
Yeah, I'm disappointed because I was trying very hard. But I'm used to this.
Unfortunately.
The Mitsubishi of Australia's Ed Ordinsky finished 6th. New Zealand's Possum Bourne brought his Subaru home in 5th place. Burns finished 4th, beaten on the last stage. Oriol giving Toyota its first podium finish with the new car, 3rd place. With Sainz gone, McRae should have been cruising to victory, but he was handicapped once again. Mäkinen took full advantage. By now he'd clawed his way to second place. This was now a desperate fight for the championship. If Tommy won, he also took the title, and Colin's commitment over that last stage was total.
Okay. Did you like that, How? Man? How are you on those jumps? Gee whiz, that was high, man. I got a headache.
Well, if he beats that, he deserves it. That's all I can say.
Tommy and Seppo Harjanne needed to take 14 seconds off McRae and Grist on that final stage.
Ja lyhyt helppo vasen.
7 seconds faster, however, was the best the Finns could manage.
I knew already that it's not fast enough. I made a few mistakes and...
Win number 4, and after all their disappointments, who'd have thought McRae and Grist were still in line for the championship? 6 seconds the winning margin from Mäkinen, Oriol, Burns, Bourne and Ordinski. Those two, Mäkinen and McRae, were now the only two in line for the Drivers' Championship, Sainz's retirement having put him out of contention. But in the Manufacturers' Championship, Subaru now couldn't be caught, their third successive title. So the Drivers' Championship would be decided on the 14th and final round, Britain's RAC Rally. First to start was the championship leader.
It shouldn't be so difficult just to score 1 point and that's it.
He needed just 1 point to take the title, but he made a slightly erratic start.
I don't feel any pressure at all now. There's one thing to do, and I'll try my best to do it. If I can't do it, then I've tried my best.
Only victory would be good enough for McRae, and even then, Mäkinen would have to score no points. McRae's teammate Kenneth Eriksson was the rally's first casualty.
Vänster 4 plus, 120. Går bra, går bra.
The car just stopped and we couldn't restart it anymore, so it was no way, and we tried to push with the organizer, helped us a lot, but it didn't start anymore.
The home of British motorsport, Silverstone, and a spectacle new to Britain, a super special spectator stage. First to start, Tommi Mäkinen versus Colin McRae.
Uno.
For the record, McRae was faster than Mäkinen by just 1 second. With Eriksson out, Liati was now McRae's only backup, while Mitsubishi's Richard Burns was out to stop McRae winning. Sainz was out of the championship and on his last event for Ford, while Oriol was keen to go one better than that third place in Australia. In second place at the end of the day, Juha Kankkunen. But that determination to win saw McRae straight-lining the chicane at Silverstone. A cold-ridden Mäkinen ended the day just where he needed to be, in 6th place. McRae too was just where he needed to be, leading.
Today doesn't really go for anything. As Nicky says, the only thing you can do today is lose the rally. Tomorrow, at the end of tomorrow evening, you'll see a big change again.
It's good position, nothing wrong with, so not so much difference between the 6-7 first cars. It's all right. I hope that my own condition getting a bit better for tomorrow.
Day 2 in the Welsh forests and a foggy start. McRae, running first on the road, suffered the most.
Into 6 left, tightens. Leave the lights off and just drive it normally. 70, 6 right, into 4 left, opens. There, that's better.
The drive on that first stage came from Richard Burns. He took the lead. So quick, in fact, was he, that he caught and passed Didier Oriol on the stage.
80.
If it had just been, clear dark, it wouldn't have been a problem at all. But as soon as the fog comes down, it makes a big difference to it.
That was a good stage. Just concentrated all the way through and listened to the notes, and came out rather well.
McRae's fight back started on the next stage with the first in a string of fastest times. While Colin was making up time, Richard was losing out.
60. Fast lane, middle.
Juha Kankkunen was enjoying a steady, undramatic run in third place. Sainz was second behind Burns. He could still secure second place for Ford in the manufacturers. But that cold meant that Mäkinen wasn't enjoying himself and was affecting his concentration.
I could drive a bit faster, but I thought it's no point to take too much risk.
Piero Liati's not at home on wet gravel, and his car bore the scars.
We were too fast there. There was no way to try to turn, and we rolled. But we landed on the four wheels, so we switched it on the engine, and off we went.
The home support was all for Colin McRae and Nicky Grist, but the championship looked to be slipping away. His cold getting worse as the day wore on, Mäkinen was grimly hanging on to sixth place.
Do you feel as bad as you look?
It's not so good feeling, I have to say.
The rally'd lost Ericsson on day one, but on day two, it was Oriol's turn.
Sur gauche, sur droite à fond, plonge. Gauche, sur droite à fond, plonge. Putain, c'est malin ça. Putain, on va se faire mal. Mani, je t'aime, Mani, je t'aime, Mani, je t'aime.
I have in my note, be careful inside. There are some log, and it's narrow. And I forget to write in my notes, and outside also there are some log. We go off the road and we roll quite fast.
That left guest driver Marcus Gronholm fifth in the remaining Toyota Corolla. Sainz was fourth, no help from team orders on this event, and suffering yet more problems.
The last two stages where we have some transmission problems and we lost a minute and a half, something like that.
Juha Kankkunen was third, but all eyes were on the pair ahead. Richard Burns still led the rally, but it was now a shared lead. In the drive of the day, McRae'd been fastest on 5 of the 7 stages and shared the lead with Burns.
I think everything just went very well today. The tyres have been working very well. I felt very confident with the car and the stages, and we've been driving very quickly.
Richard really is the only man who at the moment can stop you. Are you worried about him?
No, not at all.
Richard, can you stop him from winning?
Of course.
Day 3, and yet another foggy start would help to decide the championship. Yet again, McRae lost time. An inspired Burns was 17 seconds faster, but he lost that lead with a puncture on stage 21.
What else is there? I don't know. It's 60.
How are you feeling?
As gutted as you can be.
Fifth placed Marcus Gronholm was relieved just to finish his first RAC rally. Sainz finished third, a broken drive shaft the only hiccup on the final day. Kankkunen was second, yet another pair of escorts in the top 3.
Medium right and long fast left.
As he returned to Cheltenham and the finish, McRae knew that he'd won the rally. But 6th place was enough to give a flu-ridden Tommi Mäkinen his second world title.
Obviously very disappointed in the championship, but at least we've managed to win the home event, so it's a good finish to the year.
It's been very long season, and sometimes good luck and sometimes bad luck, going up and down and up and down, and finally we gain it. It's unbelievable feeling.
The 14th and final result of the year, but only 2 places mattered. First, Colin McRae, and 6th, Tommi Mäkinen, on his final event with co-driver Seppo Harjanne. Confirmation of the Drivers' Championship positions. 1 point the difference, the closest finish since 1979. Confirmation too of Subaru's 3rd successive manufacturer's title. Colin McRae and Nicky Grist, 5 wins from 14 rallies, but it wasn't enough. The 1997 World Rally Champion was Tommi Mäkinen.